whispered to her friend. This life, and you never know who is watching, came from a few people in the queue, though most turned away, embarrassed for the woman. The supermarket's fluorescent lights buzzed softly overhead, casting a clinical glow over the aisles stacked with neatly arranged products. The scent of freshly baked bread mixed with the tang of floor disinfectant, creating an oddly familiar yet impersonal atmosphere. It was a busy afternoon in Lagos, and people bustled about, pushing trolleys, scanning price tags, and murmuring to themselves as they ticked off items on their lists. Among the shoppers was Raphael Adeyemi, a man in his late 30s, dressed sharply in a well-tailored navy suit that screamed wealth. His cologne, a bold, woody scent, announced his presence before he even spoke. He carried himself with the air of someone who had clawed his way to the top and now looked down on those beneath him. As he strode towards the checkout, a slow-moving figure ahead made him sigh dramatically. An elderly woman, clad in a faded Ankara blouse and a wrapper that had seen better days, was fumbling through her handbag, her hands trembling slightly. The queue behind her stretched long, and Raphael, who had only come to grab a few imported wine bottles for a business dinner, found his patience wearing thin. He cleared his throat loudly, hoping she would take the hint. She didn't. Instead, she continued searching her purse, her gnarled fingers struggling to grasp what she was looking for. The cashier, a teenage boy in a red supermarket vest, shifted uncomfortably, but said nothing. Raphael chuckled dryly, shaking his head. Madam, Abi, you no say people they wait behind you? If you no get money, make you just talk. No waste our time a beg. The woman flinched slightly but kept her eyes down. The queue stirred with murmurs, some amused, others disapproving. She finally found a crumpled 500 naira note and placed it on the counter. The cashier hesitated, casting a quick glance at Raphael before processing the transaction. Raphael scoffed, leaning in as if to make sure the old woman heard him. "E be like say your village people don't win this round. See as you dey disgrace yourself." A ripple of awkward laughter came from a few people in the queue, though most turned away, embarrassed for the woman. Then a deep, authoritative voice came from behind him. "I think you should apologize." Raphael froze. The voice was calm, deliberate, and carried the weight of unshakable power. It wasn't a suggestion, it was a command. Slowly he turned. Standing directly behind him was a tall, imposing man in a crisp black agbada. His face was familiar, too familiar. It took Raphael exactly 3 seconds to place him. General Hassan Bakare, former chief of army staff, ex-defense minister. A man whose mere name carried fear and respect across Nigeria. Raphael felt his heart hammer in his chest. Why was the general here? More importantly, why was he defending this old woman? A slow, sinking dread filled Raphael's stomach as he took a second look at the old woman. His mind suddenly clicked into place. This wasn't just any elderly woman. She was Mama Aduni Bakare, the general's mother. Raphael's throat went dry. His legs felt like jelly. The supermarket had fallen into an eerie silence. People were now openly watching, phones creeping up to record the unfolding scene. Raphael stammered, his earlier bravado completely gone. General Bakar stepped forward, his face unreadable. "You mocked my mother." His voice was dangerously soft. Publicly. Raphael's mind raced. He knew how powerful the general was. A single word from him and Raphael's career, no, his life, could spiral into ruin. "I swear I didn't know. That's the problem." The general's eyes were sharp. "You didn't know. Yet, you found it easy to insult an old woman." Mama Aduni simply sighed, finally turning to face Raphael properly. "It is not today that I have seen men like you, men who believe they are above others, until life humbles them." Raphael wanted to disappear. The weight of every gaze in the supermarket pressed down on him like an unbearable burden. The general took another step closer. "You have 2 choices," Raphael gulped. "1, you apologize, properly, loud enough for everyone to hear, and you pay for my mother's groceries." Raphael's mouth opened, but no sound came out. "Or 2, the general's tone dropped even lower. I make 1 phone call, and by tomorrow morning, let's just say, nobody will be doing business with you again." A cold sweat broke out on Raphael's forehead. He could already imagine the headlines. "Wealthy businessman humiliates elderly woman, but she turns out to be a general's mother." His reputation? Shattered. His business deals? Gone. His life as he knew it? Over. Raphael swallowed his pride. His lips trembled. I am very sorry, Mama. Louder, the general commanded. Raphael clenched his fists, then forced the words out. I am very sorry, May. His voice cracked slightly. The supermarket walls echoed his words. Mama Aduni eyed him for a long moment before sighing. God is watching all of us, my son. She turned back to the cashier. Let me have my balance, please. Raphael fumbled into his pocket and slammed his ATM card onto the counter. I will pay for everything, he mumbled. The general didn't smile. He simply gave a curt nod. Good choice. With that, he placed a protective hand on his mother's shoulder and led her towards the exit. As the general and his mother disappeared through the glass doors, Raphael slumped against the counter, feeling humiliated yet strangely relieved. He had been lucky, very lucky. As he turned to leave, the murmurs of the crowd followed him. Some people still snickered, others shook their heads in disapproval. A woman in a gele whispered to her friend, "This life, and you never know who is watching." And in that moment, Raphael realized that his arrogance had almost cost him everything. From that day forward, he would never judge anyone based on their appearance again. Because in this world, you never know who's behind you. Moral of the story: always treat people with kindness and respect. You never know who they are or who they are connected to. Power and wealth mean nothing if you lack humility. Life has a way of humbling even the proudest among us. Till next time.